Hello and welcome. This week it is Healing Within 22, and tonight we will be talking about the Akashic Records. This will be done by three of our guests tonight, Colleen, Hannah and Katerina, and hopefully they will have such diverse opinions of the Akashic Records that we will have to have a conversation. Will last probably longer than an hour, but we want it to be interesting as well. So I've done a little bit of research on the Akashic Records, and what I'm going to do is just put up the first, well, I'm going to tell you the first little bit. Now, according to Wikipedia, or whatever they call themselves, in Theosophy and Anthroposophy, the Akashic Records are a compendium of all human events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to be occurred in the past, present, or future. They are believed by theosophists to be encoded in a non-physical plane of existence known as the etheric plane. This will be an interesting thing to find out. Hello, Jasmine. Glad you could drop in. Now, I am going to introduce our first guest tonight, who is Katerina, and she is from Be Your True Self. And there it is, Be Your True Self. Hello, Katerina. How are you?
Hi. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. At the end of it, you'll have to give me your, I'll see if I can get your Be Your True Self page, and we'll put it up in the comments so people can get to you later, if that is all right.
Beautiful.
Now,
That's
also
great.
Tonight, we have another lovely pair of people. And if you don't mind, Katerina, I'll just put you back in the lobby for just a couple of minutes while I introduce these other people. Thank you very much. And our other guest tonight will be the Lotus Sisters, and that is Colleen and Hannah. So we'll bring them up now. And we will bring them up now. Hi, girls.
Good evening.
Hi. Would you care to introduce yourselves so people know which one is which?
Yeah, sure. I'm Colleen. And I'm Hannah.
And we are the Lotus Sisters.
And we are the Lotus Sisters. Yeah.
Absolutely lovely. Now I'm going to just drop your sign, and I will get Katerina back, and we will see where we go. Okay, we'll put it so everybody can see us. Did you have the opportunity to hear the comment that I made just then?
Yes.
Yeah, the explanation.
On the Akashic Record.
Yes.
What is your opinion of that?
Wow. Well, quite similar to what we know. Similar, that sort of energetic record of sort of the soul's journey through time. That's the way that we like to think of it or explain it.
All right. Katerina, any difference for you?
The way I understand the Akashic Records is that it is our DNA. So every time we awaken to who we are, we open up a page of our Akashic Records, which is what we call the ascension or the awakening.
Yeah.
Well, that's as we tune in here, you'll understand that just about everybody who does any form of energy work or healing work, we all have different views on the same topic. So don't be don't be afraid that these don't match in like jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah.
They match into the people who are doing it.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just read the second part and see if we can, it might be along the same line, or if you agree, you don't agree. The Akashic Record is like an immense photographic film, registering all the desires and earth experiences of our planet. Those who perceive it will see pictured thereon the life experiences of every human being since time began.
Yeah.
The reaction to the experience of the entire animal kingdom, the aggregation of thought forms of a karmic nature of every human unit throughout time. Herein lies the great deception of the records. Only a trained occult can distinguish between actual experience and those astral pictures created by imagination and keen desire. Shall we go to the twins first, up the top?
Yeah,
Wow.
sure. Wow.
Also very interesting. There was some bits of that we resonate with. Certainly in the way of the collective history of humanity. We always think of the Akashic Records holding the collective history. Certainly in the way that Hannah and I work, we're looking at the soul's individual records, and we do believe that we live in the Akashic field, which does record every emotion, every action, every thought, every belief at every moment. So even this conversation that we're having right now on My Time TV, this is being recorded right now. And then this can be accessed at another date as well. So yeah, I think it does relate to what you were saying as well, Roy. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Katerina, does that sort of resonate with you, or do you flow along a different line?
Well, I agree, yes. But what I know about the Akashic is when we go to sleep, we visit our Akashic records and write down the events of the day. And once we write it into our Akashic records, it becomes, you can't undo it.
Yeah.
Right.
Once we write it in, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
But I do agree with the ladies that everything has already been written, everything has already been done, and everything has already been fulfilled. We have the privilege to be human, to be able to manifest what we already know, and that's the challenge as a human being.
Are any of you familiar with the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
I've heard of them.
No, I don't.
Well,
I haven't read it.
it was a play on slipping into dimensional travel, where he had a problem in one life and he could travel to another life. And the description he used was like, in a boat, and then when you come above the river, you can see all the tributaries. And every one of those is the possibilities that are in front of you.
Yeah.
If you take the first one, it may lead to another river.
Yeah.
But every time you take one of these side rivers, your entire other rivers close down and a new river begins. The river bends and twists as you go along. So each one is a decision that you have made, which alters how your life will change along the way. Does that fit with the Akashic records?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are the river. You are
That's
the
it.
river.
That's the whole idea of Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah. Well, your energy, you are the energy, and that's how it starts. However, you are able to change things there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
When we
intrigued
talk
to hear
about
that. We'll go with Katerina first. How do you change things?
Well, how do you change things? You can, if you're experienced enough, you can go into a timeline and collapse it, which means you seal that Akashic record or that information so it cannot be altered or seen any other time in the future, past or current. That's how I understand it.
Does that change the past or just only the present onwards?
You can't change the past. Once it's written, once you've manifested it, you can't change it. You can do whatever is you can create an alternative timeline which will create an alternative solution.
Okay. Up to the girls. Hannah, Colleen, your opinions?
We certainly believe that the Akashic Records does hold all future possibilities. So even when we're working with a client and they might want to know about some questions about the future, we will always say, okay, well, here's a possibility, because technically it does hold all sort of the options. But then it's that human choice, obviously, of which direction you want to take or which choice you're going to take. But also, I like what Katerina said about once you've made that decision, it's kind of written as well. So you can't really change the past, but there are many, many future possibilities or laneways that you can take.
Yeah. We've had a question from Jesse Leone. Is this to do with soul contracts?
Good question.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I guess in a way, because we believe that we make contracts with souls before we incarnate. So in each incarnation we make these deals or these contracts with certain souls, and we then play them out when we're on Earth. And we can have the same contracts with the same souls in many, many different lifetimes. We can be in contact with many of the same souls in these lifetimes as well. And it's like, yeah, we make these deals while we're in the spirit world before we come in.
Okay. How does that resonate with you, Katerina?
I know, I agree. I do agree. Before we come into any life, we sit around like a round table with the souls, or with the souls that will help us come to pivotal moments in our lives. And they will turn up however form. The Akashic record holds all contracts.
Is there a difference between somebody contacting to their present Akashic records, or if you are attempting to contact your personal Akashic records, do you go back to previous aspects of your own soul in the past?
No.
Do you mean past lives, Roy? Is that what you sort of mean, or?
Well, each soul regenerates or comes back. We have rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. Now, one soul continues to come along the same timeline, but they are not necessarily in the same body. So what I'm asking is, do I, as an individual searching for the Akashic records, if I manage to evolve the emotional level and the energy level high enough, I can contact or accept the Akashic records. But am I able to access them only in this lifetime, or can I access them in all of past soul lifetimes to see where mistakes have been made and correct some of those errors?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a really good question. It's really interesting.
Do you want to let Katerina have a go first?
Sorry, Katerina, you go. You go for it.
That's okay, it's all, I think we're all on the same page. Okay, so my answer to that would is how I've been mentored is that to go into your Akashic records. The Akashic records are guarded very closely by the higher dimensions of the royal councils of the galactics and the universal council. So you just can't walk into your Akashic record, because it's like I always say, why would you want to go into a past life? Because what you're doing is you're activating those emotional states. So if it wasn't a good life, why would you want to go back into it to have a look at it, because you will relive it again. Now, the Akashic records...
Can I get to that in a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Finish what you're saying. I'll get back to it.
Yeah. So the way I see the Akashic records is like your aura is the Akashic record. It's like the public library. You know how you go in the foyer and you go into the library and you sit around, you read books. Well, the first section of it is like that. But then you've got layers up top, that private information, confident information. So to answer your question, Roy, all the lifetimes that you've had, if you are experienced enough and have the guidance to go into your Akashic records, and if there is something in this life that's troubling you, you can have access to a particular life that will help you understand why the original problem occurred
Yeah.
So what you do then is you bring that understanding into this life to help you create a solution to the problem. Because we've got to be really careful here. We're talking about you don't want people to relive a traumatic situation. Do you know what I mean? So that's why there are laws, universal laws in regards to the Akashic Records. And you need to be guided in there. You can't just walk in there. You have to.
I would take that under advisement.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that, and you mentioned in there that you shouldn't go back and check because it might have been a bad lifetime. But some of us in our lives realise that we're having the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah.
And the idea of going back and saying, where did this begin? Why did it begin? Am I still repeating the same mistakes?
Yeah.
And if I am, I can now change it because I know I'm making that same mistake. And that's why I'm asking, can you go back and check on the past lives of your own soul to find the mistakes that you've made and correct?
Yes.
Well, they usually come up.
Oh, sorry, Katerina.
Girls, go for it.
Oh, well, that's primarily the stuff that we do with clients. Yeah. We are taking them back to their past lives, looking at perhaps a karmic cycle that they're continuing to repeat when that karmic thing occurred, or whenever that incident occurred, or whatever it is, and helping them to bring it to their conscious awareness. And that it's always bringing up past lives for us, even though it is at times painful and they can be traumatic. It's always from the space of unconditional love and helping that person to release that cycle so that they're no longer carrying that energy in their aura or in their chakras anymore. And so they're no longer needing to repeat those behaviors or that thought pattern or whatever it is. So we do that a lot. And we do it with ourselves when we read our own records, or for another person as well.
I think a key thing is, so Colleen and I always emphasise it's about the way you deliver the information and doing it in a sensitive, empathetic manner as well.
Ethical way, and always asking, whenever we read someone's records, it's always asking that soul's permission first. Like, do you give us permission to read your records? And it's that permission that's key as well.
Well, I think you've answered Jessie's question. So your turn, Katerina, go for it.
I was just going to say, I agree. You need to have integrity, respect and responsibility with the information that you give to the person. I go into the Akashic Records to look at the timeline and see what has happened. So I get my clients to not be emotionally attached to the situation at the time that I help them, so they're observing it.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then because then what I do is I get my client to feel the energy so they can transmute it through the body, because our bodies are the transmutation machine. So I get them to take it up to the higher heart and get them to feel it and then release it. And then, because the idea is to remove that problem from the energy, from the energetic signature, or the particle of that energy from your energetic signature, because you need to remove it. Because once you remove it, then what you're doing is you're removing it from the collective. The idea is to grow individually, but to remove it collectively, so then other people who do meditations and so on will sit down and have a quiet moment and are able to connect to the information that you give out, ladies, or if I give out. So then they can feel it, transmute it, release it, understand their problem, and then collectively it gets removed from Gaia's energy center. That means humanity won't repeat its old cycle of collapse or whatever it is. So, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, girls. Thank you very much. We've just had a couple of people comment. Jessie Marie Leone, she thinks this is the best thing since puff wheat. So you're doing well, girls. I'm just going to put into the comments, and I will put it onto the the main forum for people who are interested. And I'm going to just put up a piece on the bottom of the screen here. Now, honestly, I'm sorry, but this has nothing to do with either the Lotus Sisters or Katerina. There is a young lady who does a rather in-depth 20-minute explanation of her version of the Akashic Records. And just to give you a little bit of what she says, so that you can see another version again, belief is that the Akashic Records are kept in the 5th dimension, but as we exist in all dimensions simultaneously, it should be considered that it is in all dimensions and available to all and any at any time. The 7th dimension is the totality of all probabilities of one soul's lifetime through the lifetimes in the universe that we are in at present, since conception of the universe to the end of the universe. By using the natural ability to increase our vibrational aspects, we can access the records when that energy or vibration matches the level of the Akashic Records we are going through. And that is from this young lady that was, I think she's in America. I found it quite interesting, her description. It was more or less like a library, and you fourth here, then when you get to you've made your decision, you get to the 5th, and then you go 6th, and universe, and then we come back to 1, and then we start again in the next universe and come back to 1.
Yeah.
Very interesting, but I don't know how you fit in there. But if anybody is interested, please take the time. 20 minutes of your life, it's well worth the watch, and it's another point of view about the Akashic Records. Now, we've had a couple more comments, so let's see what we've got. Lily Hayes says, oh, yay. I bumped into an old school friend, mate, who mentioned the beautiful Lotus Sisters, so much love, and you, Colleen and Hannah, and, of course, Roy and Katerina too. Well, I'm glad you put us in there, Lily. Thank you very much. I was afraid I was going to miss out then. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Lily is a brilliant person, and I'm sure that she means no disrespect to anybody with their ideas there. Now, we have a question. Is Gaia like the middle dimension?
Can I answer that?
Yeah,
go for it.
Okay, well, Gaia has 24 levels of dimensions, but humanity only knows of 12. So as we ascend, as the planet ascends, and as humanity makes their ascension, people will start to learn beyond the 12th dimension. So Gaia has 24 dimensions. Well, actually, it has a lot more than that, because I've been to the 52nd dimension, but that's
Good
another
Lord.
story. Yeah, only for a second or two. But my point is, I was shown the Akashic Records. Okay, so the way I see the Akashic Records is a huge library, because I like the library, right?
Is that easy
Because
for people
I
to sort of understand?
Yes.
Because we can visualize the library?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Akashic Record is a visualization of what makes you feel comfortable in a place where you can rediscover your own information about who you are, right? So for me, I love the library and the idea of a big fire and, a big table of books, and and then you go up the stairs to the the top level where the really ancient books. And my team, my Blue Diamond team, have shown me the top layers of the Akashic Records, and there are ancient material that that is only just starting to be discovered. But I've also had the experience of going down to the basement, what I call the basement, where the books of the darker side of things are. And now I was shown, because normally your Akashic guide, which you need to have, won't take you down there, because they took me down there because I do shadow work and stuff like that. So the Akashic Record can be whatever you feel comfortable it to be. But generally, it's just basically your DNA, and you're just clairvoyantly or intuitively opening up something about yourself I've had people call it like a big forest, you know, like trees. You know, it all depends on
how they see
you
the
know,
world.
like you could be attached to the Merlin energy, so you could see yourself in a big cave with all the books, you know, like. But I see it as a huge library, and my team have given me the label of the Akashic Librarian. So I'm your guided tour.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Would that be resonant with the two girls? Similar?
Yeah, we like to think of it as the big library. It's just a really easy way to explain such a big concept. But we like to say that, you know, it's like finding your shelf, and every book on that shelf is all your past lives. And most of us have had hundreds of these past lives, and then but we communicate with the person's guides, and they decide what past life or what information needs to come out for that session. So it's not actually me and Hannah who decide, hey, this person needs to heal this. It's like, no, we're talking to that person's guides who know what that soul's ready to hear in a session. So it's never information that person is not ready to hear.
So it's like Harry Potter, you know, you go in and somebody says, that's the book you need to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Yeah.
I like to get me Harry Potter in there when I can.
I totally agree with the lady.
we've had a question here. I'm going to put it up, and honestly, another one, laughing out loud. How does shadow work tie in with all of this? And the basement. I did not think that there would be a dark aspect to the Akashic Records.
Oh, of course there is, because we're light and dark. It's
so
just
it's
that
case
I told
of the decisions that we don't make, the ones that we think are not quite right or a little bit au fait, we put those aside and they go into the basement.
Well, no. What's in the basement is the real dark stuff that we've done in other lifetimes, because we've all haven't been angels.
Oh, this face, not an angel. Seriously.
But you know, yeah. So.
Okay, we have another question which we will try. I'm trying to keep up with the questions. I better go back up to the other one here. No, we had that one. Sorry. Here, can you guys see the questions when they come up?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Understand this is a part of ascending and separating from the physical self and the physical world. Response, somebody.
Okay, so the ascension right now on the planet is all about removing the negative ego from your space so you can raise your frequency into fifth dimensional living. So what that means is 3D life, or the Akashic 3D life, was created for you to experience the dark night of the soul, because this is the only planet in the whole universe that does this.
Oh, okay.
Why do I say that? Is because I have galactic connections as well.
Oh, lovely. I don't see any arguments coming from the gin-toting twins at the top. What are you two drinking?
So what it means...
It's not alcoholic.
It's tea. It's just tea. Trust me.
Sorry, Katerina. All I've seen is these moonshine jugs coming up.
Sorry.
I'll have one, thanks. Yeah, so the question is, I understand this is a part of ascending and separate. So what it just means is that your Akashic records are there to help you understand all the negative ego aspect of yourself, or the shadow, right? Which means all the stuff that you've put under the carpet and you didn't deal with at a certain life, or all the decisions you made that hurt other people, because what's happening right now on this planet in this dimension is that the energies have opened up to your Akashic records that have never been opened up before, because if you want to move into 5D, you need to literally remove your negative ego from your space. So that's why everybody is having, maybe they're feeling really tired, or they're having a crappy day, and things are coming up that you don't even, you thought, oh my God, where did that come from? It's because the vibration and the frequency of the energy right now is opening up your Akashic record, or a part of your DNA that needs to be dealt with, that you may not have dealt with 500 lifetimes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is that, no, but the idea is that you've come here to awaken all parts of you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roy?
I say to clear out all the rubbish.
Yes, well, that's right. That's what's happening right now. And if you don't do it, you see, if you don't continue to remove the rubbish after the 1st September of this year, the energies will totally slow down, and you'll have to spend another 16,000 years going through your karma to go back to 5D.
Oh, Lord. Oh, I haven't got that much time left. All right, girl. I'll leave you with the next question if you've read it. What frequency is that at? Sorry to be... You're not bothersome, Jessie. Honestly, if people don't ask the question, we don't find out the information. So,
Thank you, Jessie.
is the dark night of the soul when you begin to awaken and have to face yourself, all the things that have been painful or traumatic?
Yeah. So, the dark night of the soul, I mean, there's lots of different explanations about what that is, but I mean, for us, it really is that awakening, or those types of experiences that we have that are very karmic, where it's like, it's that breaking open, so that you have to surrender and your ego has to go through some sort of death. It doesn't mean you don't have an ego. We all need an ego for survival, but it's like the ego having its control, and it's when you have to surrender, and the soul kind of has a moment to take the lead, or we start to make more decisions from the heart rather than from the head, or we start to balance it a little bit more. And in the way of what frequency is that at, I mean, in the way of the Akashic Records, we always think of it as kind of the fifth dimension and above. So I'm not sure if that's what she was referring to, but Well,
we don't know any more than you do, so we're assuming you're giving us the correct answer.
Okay.
We've just spent the first half an hour going over what the Akashic Records are. So I figure it's about time we started asking you some of the questions that you've sent to me. And the first one being, what can someone expect to experience during an Akashic Records reading? You asked the question, so Katerina, you can be the first to answer.
Okay. Well, when you come and sit with me, part of my sessions, you get an Akashic. That's, the information comes from there anyway, so regardless of what kind of session. So what would you expect? You would expect me to tell you exactly how it was, whether it's good or bad. There's no labels. I will tell you, I'm not a fluffy duck, as I call. I won't put flowers around it. I will tell you exactly what you need to know. Then what I do is, then I do the transmutation work. Then I will get you to feel it, move it through your body or your energy field, and then I get you to experience a bit of discomfort, but then I help you let it go. Then I know you're going to walk out feeling lighter, brighter, with more clarity and understanding, because you need to give it back to source, or give it back to your own Akashic record, so you can seal it, so it cannot be reopened ever again. Otherwise, you've got to keep visiting, as you know, ladies. You've got to keep going back till you solve the problem, right? So my sessions is really all about deal with it now. Let's get it out of your etheric field. And so then I do timelines. We go from this year to that year, and then I seal the doors or whatever I do, and then we come to a year, we come to a future date, and I will say then, so if you continue to do it this way, like you did it originally, when you come to this date or this year, you're going to have to repeat what you did back in the 1800s, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So what I do is I help you to understand why you did it. And most of the time it's all because of negative stuff, really. You know.
Okay, now we're up to the girls now. What should we expect from you? And Katerina, just check out the question because you'll be answering that one. Up to you, girls.
Yeah, so Colleen and I do the readings together normally for people because we get the same information but in a slightly different way, and we can check in with each other. We usually start by scanning the person's chakra system and seeing what damage might be in the chakras from past lives, or what damage or trauma may have occurred in this life. And then that's how we start, and that guides our session. It's the chakra system.
Yeah.
But
I mean, every reading's different because every person's soul record or experiences have been different. But I liked what Katerina said about feeling lighter. Like, we aim that at the end of the session, that person feels lighter, like they have dropped some karmic baggage. They have dropped some big stuff that's been weighing on them energetically, or even, you know, physically, whether that could be injuries or like emotional problems or whatever it is. It's like they're able to drop it within the session and within that beautiful unconditional love frequency that the Akashic Records are. So it's like, they walk out feeling lighter and like they have let go of something quite heavy. That's usually the experience that we find.
And on the flip side, just quickly, Roy, sometimes it's about uncovering actually some positive stuff, like some soul talents or some abilities that may be a little bit dormant in the person. So that's a really lovely thing to see develop.
Good point.
There's a lot that positive stuff comes out of my sessions too, like especially if someone is wanting to learn about their intuitive abilities, then their guides will give me, you know, information about what that is and how we can bring that out. And also that's the Akashic Records too, like it's my source of information to help somebody, you know, to help my client.
You wouldn't want too many negatives, would you? Otherwise nobody'd come back and want a second issue.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right, have you had a chance to read that question, Katerina?
Is that, can you tell how old or young a soul is? Or are they
the same age? Yep. And what is source?
Well, with my experience and my training, yes.
They're all the same age.
I can. Or are they all the same age? No. A young soul is...
We actually hear about a lot about young kids now being old souls coming forward. They've done their time. They've cleared out a lot of the garbage in the past, and now they're coming back as old souls. They don't have to go through the rubbish that perhaps you and I went through. They're just clicking in and go, I've done that before. Let's head for the real stuff. Is that part of it as well?
Well, an old soul. An old soul. I'm an old soul. I'm 250,000 years old. So that's an old soul, right?
You don't look any more than about 40 odd. So I'd say you're doing well.
But okay, so we're talking about the children who are being born out right now. They're being born with all their intuitive faculties. So that means that they are born with the ability to know who they are from an early age, where I had to spend 23 years to find out, right?
Yeah.
That is because of the new energies that we're receiving right now to move into our future. And these children are what we call the third wavers, where they will implement the new energies of harmony or peace, however you want to call it, in their lifetime. So what that means is I'm a first waver. So I anchor the light into Gaia. So then I awaken the second waver to protest or change things, then the second waiver makes room for the third waiver, which is the children, to implement and live what we're talking about right now.
That was a brilliant explanation. I actually enjoyed that explanation. Did you want to add anything, girls, or you're happy with that?
I'm pretty. That was beautiful. Yeah, and we find that it's mainly more older souls that are ready for an Akashic reading, because I've been to the record several times between lives, so there's an affinity for it. So,
yeah. And I mean, you hear about crystal children and indigo children and all the different waves and things like that. We have a nephew who has autism. We know that he is an extremely old soul here to teach our family a lot of lessons, and he is at a very high frequency. So, I mean, we believe some of the children that are incarnating now are of that very high frequency and very old souls. Here to help with that fifth level of ascension, the change into the fifth dimension, all of those things.
Okay,
well, they're going to be the guardians of our future.
Yeah.
I should certainly hope so. And I hope they get to it quick, because we're running out of time. We have another question from Jody. Hi, everyone. How can you tell who is part of your soul group? Just a couple of quick answers, or we're never going to get to these other questions. So who wants to dig this one out?
Okay. Well, you can actually ask. I guess you can ask in the Akashic Records. You can ask your guides. But one of the ways that I believe you identify someone who's a soulmate is definitely through the energy that you feel, but also through the eyes. It's like a special eye kind of connection. It's like you can just sort of tell.
Okay.
Yeah, through that sort of connection, whether they're kind of part of your soul group.
So is that like a twin flame effect?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people know generally when you meet someone, you can be repelled by someone, and that could be a soulmate that you've known before in a past life. Soulmate doesn't have to mean that they're positive or negative. It just means that you've known them before. And most people we come across, we've usually known before. So, and it's a connection, it's a spark, it's a feeling, it's and you feel in your body.
Okay. We have a question from Jessie, because Jessie is in Melbourne. Do you have to be in person, or can you do it via video?
I do a lot of my I do sessions on Skype, or I do them on Zoom, because then that person can record it. I have clients in the UK and America, so yes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, okay.
Video's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to just ask another question, because I have to try and find the sites, the Facebook sites for the peer review. So can you start answering what are some of the benefits of having your Akashic Records done? Don't fight over it. Somebody's got to go first.
Okay. The benefits. Well, the benefit is that you achieve clarity and understanding. A benefit will be that you will finally understand why you behave a certain way, or why you think a certain way. And then if there needs to be changes, then you take the pressure off yourself, because you understand how it was created the first time. But then you have to have, then the benefits also are, once you take responsibility of what has occurred, because remember, you are the one that did it, then you can literally change the energy signature to create something beautiful, something light-hearted, and create a whole new life of magic, really.
Yeah, we agree. We see it as like a rapid way to ascend, a rapid ascension process using the records. And also a way to clear your chakras very quickly with a session. Tapping into soul gifts, soul talents, reconciling soul contracts and relationships in your present life. And
I mean, we also think of it as it's like an energy healing. It's an energy cleanse, as well as all the other benefits of knowing more about yourself, knowing more about why you're here, your soul path, And then, yeah, all the types of experiences you've done in past lives as well, which can feel really liberating. I like to think of the Akashic Records or having a session as being super empowering, because you learn that you're not just this aimless soul who's just, here for no reason. It's like, no, you've had all these experiences before. You have way more knowledge than you even know, and it's all within you. And it's like, it's that ability to then tap into that and know how much more powerful you are, how much you're just, you're so special and you're so unique, and you've had all these amazing experiences. And yeah, it's just like that real empowering effect.
I'm glad I asked for the short answer.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And remember, everyone's Akashic record and energetic signature is unique, so it can't be duplicated in any way.
Right.
Now, there's, as many know, there's galactics who try and duplicate out the human energy. But let me say that it's really all about remembering who you are and what you can do.
Yeah.
So it's just a tool to help you remember. So my role is to help you remember. So the ladies are here to help you remember that you can tap into any part of your Akashic record or DNA when it is required for you to know. Because too much information can be hurtful as well.
Yeah.
We're starting to cut down on time. We're really burning through it tonight, which is good. And we're getting a lot of questions. But I would like to put this time forward. I have put your Facebook pages up on the comments side so that anybody who's interested can just click on there and they can go straight to your pages. But what have you got coming up? How do people contact you? Can you do it by Skype? Can you do it by whatever? Katerina, please, short answer. How do you do it? How do they contact you?
Okay, so if you're going to visit my business page, my booking calendar is automatically on there. So I have, so I have 3 services. So the master of your evolutionary growth includes everything that you need to deal with. So you would pick that one.
Right.
I do Skype, Zoom. Yes.
Facebook
you
Live.
can come and sit with me. Yes, I do lots of Facebook Lives.
Are you down the Theosophical Society?
Yes, I've got a workshop coming up on the 21st of September between 1 and 5, and it's called Your Journey of Ascension. So that will include light language, that would include the Akashic Records, that would include energy updates, that would include me connecting you up with whoever guide is there at the time. And I will activate you, and you will laugh and cry with me on the day.
Lovely. Up to the girls, same thing. What are you doing? Where's it happening? How do we contact you?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So we have online booking as well, just on our Facebook page.
Lotus Sisters.
Lotus
Inspire,
Sisters.
Create, Ascend.
Yeah. And you go on there and book, and we do online ones as well as in person. And you can pick the time zone as well, so in case it's international or whatever. And our events.
Yeah, we're currently in the process of planning some Akashic Records events, helping people access their own. So we'll keep you posted if you follow our page.
Yeah, and also we do have heaps of videos on our page. I'm sure Katerina does too, heaps of videos explaining the Akashic Records more, or we have special topics about the Akashic Records, so things like twin flames, soul contracts, soul path, all that sort of stuff we're explaining on our videos on our Facebook page.
Well, I'm glad we got that out. I wanted to get that out before we ran out of time so that people can watch this in replay. If you have people who miss it tonight, just tell them, look, it will be on My Time TV. It will be on my page, which is My TV Live World Spirit. It's over 3 or 4 different sites, so anybody can tune in replay, and it will always be there. So they can tune in 6 months from now and get similar information, and hopefully it will still be relevant. Not so much the workshops, but the Akashic information should be the same. Now, I don't know if anybody can do anything with this. Jody Lee says, oh, I'd love to know something positive, please. Is that possible from just a name?
Positive.
Well, for me, it's the fact that you have a very lovely and radiant face, Jody. That to me says a great deal. If that's not positive, I don't know what is, but you know.
Yeah.
Not trying to be stalker type, but
yeah, I was just connecting to her heart chakra. I closed my eyes
too.
and all I saw was a lot of green energy for her. So whether there's something going on with her heart chakra or there's an opening in her heart chakra or whether she just needs to open that a little bit more, for me, that was the first thing that came up.
Yeah, same.
right.
And there's going to be an opportunity for you, but there's going to be an opportunity for you that's going to come out of the blue. So it's going to challenge your self-worth and self-love. But I suggest you just say yes and let the universe take care of the rest.
Nice.
Wonderful.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Jasmine, for sharing. That's very nice of you. And Jessie says, thank you so much for this amazing session. Roy, Katerina, Lotus Sisters, absolutely wonderful. You have done a brilliant show and hopefully you've connected to enough people. You have about 9 minutes left, and we'll see if we have a question here that can be relevant. Here's a good, the one that the girl sent me. What is the difference between an Akashic Records reading and a psychic reading? Come on, girls, you wrote it down, so you must have an answer. You have 4 minutes.
Okay, I don't see anything. I don't see any difference in it. Because when we use our intuition, whatever label you use, you are tapping into the Akashic record anyway.
Yeah, that was a nice answer, nice response.
Yes.
Yeah, we just think the main difference for us, because we get asked whether we're psychic and we think, oh, well, sort of, but for us it's a little bit different because we know when we're doing our work that we're going straight to the Akashic Records, that we're not getting the information from anywhere else. But what we have found is that we have had quite a few clients who have come to us who have had a bad experience with a psychic reading where they've been given perhaps too much information or they've had a negative experience and it hasn't come from a place of unconditional love. So what Hannah and I like to think is that at least with what we do, it is just the Akashic Records. There's no other lower dimensional energy coming in or information that we're getting from some other entity that we don't even know about. We know that what we're getting is from that space of unconditional love for the higher benefit of that person's soul. So what we meant by that question is just to, and this is by no way anything against psychics, because we have a lot of friends who are psychics who work with very high vibrational energies and entities and things like that. So it's just that with the Akashic Records, it's like you're getting that direct link straight to the records rather than, I guess, you can get, there can be experiences where things can get negative or they can hear things that they don't want to hear sometimes with a psychic reading, let's say.
Okay. Yeah. Would you concur, agree, disputes, Katerina?
What I would like to say is, because I'm psychic as well as all my other gifts, I would like to say that when you go for a reading or a session or a healing, whatever you choose to go to, if that person that is giving it to you does not have the highest intention, doesn't matter what label you put it on, they're going to attract the lower vibration. So what I encourage people to do is you go to who you resonate with. You go to the people who you feel will help you, because you got to remember, you got to listen to the good and bad, because that's where you're going. You want to find out how you can change something, and we can't, as I call, fluffy duck everything, because you're not growing then.
I love the fluffy duck. I really do. That's
yeah.
cute.
Well, I'm not a fluffy duck. You see, you get what is required for your growth, and not what necessarily what you want.
That's true enough. Is there anything that I have failed to... Oh, hang on. We've got another question. Oh, it's always nice to have people send on their question. Eh? Can I ask what you may see for my kids and I? Is that even possible? Probably for Katerina. We're getting into the aspect of psychic readings, and that's not really where we want to go tonight, Jessie. Sorry. I'm going to put a no on that, ladies. I don't know whether you're interested. But that's not why we came here tonight. Tonight's about the Akashic Records and not trying to do readings. I used the other one only as an excuse to find out what was or wasn't possible on the live TV. So my apologies, Jessie. But if you're interested, the two Facebook pages are there. You are more than welcome to talk to either one of them. And I'm sure that they will go out of their way to make contact and give you the best experience possible. So we have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that we have not discussed that you would like to discuss before I cut you off and send you home?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Roy, for inviting me on to be your guest, and lovely to meet you, ladies. And it was a pleasure to be able to meet you and share our knowledge of what we know about the Akashic Records.
Yeah,
lovely to meet you also, Katerina.
I think it's so important because the Akashic Records is such a good tool for learning about yourself. It's so good to have these platforms where people can talk about it and more of it's put out into the mainstream, because the Akashic Records have been around obviously since the beginning of time, yet so many of us in the spiritual community don't know what they are, which is so interesting. And so I think the more of these platforms where people can talk about it, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you, Roy.
Yeah, and it's also good to have people who have similar but not exact opinions on the same thing. You might travel the same road, but you're on the left and somebody else is on the right, and it's always nice to have just a little bit of angst. Well, not so much angst, but different versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
One thing
I agree.
haven't discussed that we should is that I'm not sure whether it's Hannah or Colleen. One of you does Akashic art. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we
both of us
do Akashic art.
Both of us. And Katerina does light language. Now, this is a whole different topic again, but I thought I would mention that because it's all part and parcel of the Akashic Records. So if anybody wants to know more, you can certainly drop these people a line on their Facebook page and ask more about the artwork or the light language. And, well, we've just had whoa, that's a good question. How do you treat a person that has a mental illness? Does that make a difference?
With a lot of sensitivity. Yeah, I've certainly worked through my own depression using the Akashic Records. It was a really good tool for me because I was able to see where I got a lot of fears from my anxiety-based issues, or why I was walking around with certain belief systems, and really challenge my depression using the Akashic Records. But it had to be done in a very sensitive way. Yeah.
Somebody with bipolar or something along that line.
Yeah, it may have.
I've had.
Go,
Yeah,
Katerina.
sorry, Don.
Okay.
I've had clients who have who've had depression and all those things too. So what happens is, my goal is just to give you a safe place to explore who you are, regardless of what tool you use. It's a safe place, knowing that you're not going to be judged or looked down upon. And like you ladies, what happens is their guides show me their aura, their energetic center, and I call them fractures. So there's fractures within the aura, and then I pluck them out and we talk about those. So yes, we do the same thing. But, you know, the idea is to give people a safe environment where they feel comfortable enough to express how they feel without being judged or looked down upon, because my role is to show you that you can do what I can do.
Right. We have a question down the bottom there. I don't know how it is possible to answer it without having seen each other work, but do you do readings exactly the same? Well, I've known enough psychics and mediums to say that nobody ever does the same thing the same way. So there would be slight differences in amongst there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Colleen, we read together, but when we read separately, we do them differently even. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, you have your unique connection to energy. I have my unique connection to energy because you've been mentored and trained differently, and so have I. So I can say that I'm not the same as anybody else. I'm very different. Yeah, actually. So yeah,
I would. I'd like to get you back again at some point. Maybe not together, but separately, and we can do another couple of shows on light language and perhaps Akashic art as another form of relaxation or expression. So. Thank you very much, Katerina, Hannah, Colleen, for being on the show. I hope people have got some really good information and you get some contact from a lot of people. If not straight away, then at least through the replays and you expand yourself further. Well, let me know if anything good comes up, because it's nice to put it out there that people have taken care of you and contacted you through the show. Oh, just a quick one. Is there anything that you would like to offer somebody who has seen this live or is watching it live or in replay? I didn't get around to doing that. You don't have to. There is no pressure. This is on the spot, and I really have put you on the spot at the moment. But if you have something good, if you don't, then say, look, contact me and I'll think about it. Just mention the show.
Yeah, I think if you guys mention the show, we'll work out a special, like an extra card read or some extra time in the records or some Reiki treatment or something like that as well. We'd be really happy to do something like that.
Yeah.
You happy with that, Katerina?
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can come to my workshop, and that's where you'll learn more about me too.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, girls. We're already 2 minutes over the time, so I will say good night to Hannah and Colleen. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
And
Katerina.
Katerina,
See you later,
it's
ladies.
been fun, and hopefully we will catch up with you at another point. All right? You have a good night. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you. And ladies, germs, gentlemen, and anybody else that happens to watch this now or in replay, it's been fun. And next week we will be talking about grief and loss. So I'm going to take up the hour and see if I can get through that. There will be references to the works of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. So if you're interested in that, please tune in for Healing Within 23, Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Adelaide time, Adelaide Central Standard. And we will have some fun talking about grief and loss, not just about death and dying, but grief and loss. Thank you very much, people, and good night, and have a good weekend.